Here we go with an off-season edition of Locked On Astros, and we've got some things to talk about. Dusty Baker, Martin Maldonado, and what's going on with these guys. Will they be back, or are they saying c'est la vie on this edition of Locked On Astros?
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
All right, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker, thank you for 4 great years with the Houston Astros, 4 ALCSs, 1 World Series, 2 pennants. So I know it wasn't always great, but we'll talk about what's going on with Dusty Baker in this episode. And we'll also talk about Michael Brantley. Nothing's been made official, but there are some whispers about what's going on with him. And what is the Astros plans for Martin Maldonado? He is a free agent, so are they going to bring him back? So these are some things we'll be talking about on this episode of the Locked On Astros podcast. And thank you for becoming every dayer. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers, and we need your help. If you're listening to this audio version, or if you're listening on YouTube, wherever you're listening, go ahead, just go YouTube and go and hit that red subscribe button. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Please, we're trying to get to 10,000. That would be so special. I think Brett's going to try to do some type of giveaway or something. And it would just be an honor for us to do that. And I know if we would have got to the World Series, we probably would have reached that number. So help us get there. And I know that we're going to talk a lot about the manager search and what Brian McTaggart sent out earlier. When we did an earlier episode, Brett, I heard what you said, but it didn't process with me until later. Wait, Jeff Bagwell and Jim Crane are going to spearhead the committee to basically find the next manager, not the GM. I don't know if that's entirely true, but if that's the case, a GM has got to have their say. And that's like basically having an arranged marriage. So I don't know if that's going to work. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So Brett, what's on your mind?
Well, I will address this right off the bat since it's a good question to start. Mauricio, I almost said Mauricio Dubon. Mauricio Rubio asked, would y'all like to see Cesar Salazar as backup catcher? I'll answer that, give my statements on that, then I'll let you answer as well. I don't know that Cesar Salazar will come up, and I don't think he's the guy that they need. I think they need to go out and get a veteran catcher, almost like a Travis d'Arnaud type of player, but maybe someone that costs less, isn't really that expensive, someone who will take sort of a junior type role where you're the experienced veteran helping the rookie get his feet wet, because Yanner Diaz will see most of the stops at back start next year is my anticipation. Now, as far as Jeff Bagwell and anybody else being involved in the search for the manager, I'm sure maybe Jeff Bagwell will have a say, but this is the angle I take. Dana Brown was hired for a reason to be the GM. He wasn't hired to be Jeff Bagwell's underling. And Dana Brown isn't going to take this job with the 2022 World Series champion Houston Astros and let someone else make the decision for him. That's his job to go find the coach. And I think it would be a huge mistake. But we don't even know if that's actually what's happening. I think that's more Brian assuming that that's going to happen because that's what happened in the past. But that happened because there wasn't a GM. Now insert the GM of Dana Brown. I think getting Brad Ausmus would be a bad move because that's what Jeff Bagwell wants. And you can't go get what your former favorite player, one of the best players in Astros history, wants. You got to do what's best for the club. And if you're going to let Jeff Bagwell have a big part of this, then why do you even have a GM in the first place? Why hire Dana Brown? It's kind of like, we hired you to do a job, but we're going to do it for you. So that's my thought process. I'm not saying Brad Ausmus is a 0% chance. I just don't think it's that big of a chance. I think it is McTaggart going along with what has been said and what has been talked about. He's got no reason to really think otherwise. But I do believe that they are going to either hire a spotter or they're going to go outside. They're going to get someone with experience. But I think they need to get a personality in the clubhouse to not just replace the manager, but to replace someone like Maldonado. And I'll talk about that a little bit later.
All right, this was the exact quote from Brian McTaggart. So they'll look to get younger in the managerial role, and it should be an attractive job. Dana Brown, who's hired as the GM just before spring training, will have a say in who's going to be in the manager chair. But Jim Crane and Jeff Bagwell, the team's senior advisor to ownership and baseball operations, will oversee finding the next Astros skipper. So I just have an issue with that statement. And like you said, I know that could be what happened in the past. And so maybe he's just assuming that's what's going to happen. But I really think that Dana Brown is not going to just have a say. Oh, hey, Dana, we're having a conversation about the future manager. Would you go in and give us your 2 cents? Oh, okay. And ball it and throw it away in trash can, something like that. I think Dana Brown is, we've seen kind of what happens if you don't see eye to eye with managers. We've seen that with James Click and Dusty Baker. We saw that a little bit with Dusty Baker and Dana Brown, a little bit with how they handled the whole catcher situation. So I don't think that Jim Crane is going to put this back in the same situation. But I just think that I just hope the Astros go out there and get the right manager, because this team is ready to win. And I know that if you do not hire Joe Espada, I don't know if he's going to stick around. He's going to be like, oh, you're going to pass me over again.
That's why, Eric, I think that I don't see how Joe Espada isn't the heavy favorite in all these conversations, because I really think that when Espada interviewed with these other clubs, he basically said, look, or maybe there was an understanding that I've got something here with the Astros. When Dusty leaves, I'm supposed to be the next man. So if you're not going to bring me on to a multi-year deal and you're not going to promise me that I've got the next 3 or 4 years to build something with the club, then I'm going to stick with where I'm at, because I've been riding that bench coach position for a long time. And I've earned that spot. I know the clubhouse. I know the cultures. The guys trust me. I trust them. I mean, Joe Espada is out there every day with the position players, helping them in position drills, helping them with player drills. And that's what I love about him. I think you're also going to see some movement in the Astros minor league organization. I wouldn't be surprised. I have no idea why I would think this, but someone like Joe Thon may be moving up to AAA. Some of your minor league guys might be moving up and moving into the system. I know they've got some really good hitting coaches down there. If Snitker is on his way out as well, because he's interviewing with the Guardians. So I just think, like you said, they've got to get this right. But Dana Brown absolutely, to me, has the main role here. That is his role as GM. You don't hire a GM and not allow him to make the decision. Jeff Bagwell can have whatever opinion he wants, but Jeff Bagwell is not a general manager, period, in the story. He's a good commentator on the stuff, on the show. He knows baseball, but he's an advisor. An advisor advises. An advisor doesn't make decisions. A general manager makes decisions. Yeah. And if you're not going to give him that, then after Dana Brown's here, there's not going to be a single GM that's going to want to come here, because you're not going to let them do their job.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we're going to, the earlier episode, we kind of rushed into it. And so I actually did a deeper dive into some of Dusty Baker's quotes in that USA Today article. And we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow's press conference. But definitely, it does sound like Dusty Baker is on his way to retirement. What's in store for Michael Brantley? That's something else we're going to talk about. And Martin Maldonado. Apparently, Martin Maldonado was a big, not necessarily him, the person, but the catching position, and Dusty Baker's use of him was a big source of contention in the front office this year. So that's something else we'll discuss on this episode.
Hey there, I want to tell you all about our sponsor, Ibotta. How does free Thanksgiving sound to you? Ibotta is here to give you cash back and help make sure that your Thanksgiving table is complete, because who wants turkey without the gravy? Turkey is great, but we all know the best part of the Thanksgiving dinner are the sides. With Ibotta, you can make sure that you get everybody's favorite side dishes and turkey while getting yourself cash back. I mean, big holidays mean big family get-togethers, means a lot of food, and you spend that money. And why not spend the money on the spread with Ibotta when you can get the turkey and all your favorite sides for free? That's right, for free. Starting this November 1st, for the fourth year in a row, Ibotta is giving 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast. Just add the offers to the app to redeem everything you need to make your Thanksgiving feast complete. All you have to do is shop at your favorite retailers and upload your receipt. Download the Ibotta app now and use the code MLB and get 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving dinner starting November 1st. App Store, Google Play, download it today. Free Ibotta app, IBOTTA at the Google Play Store, and use the promo code MLB.
All right. So if you're looking at what Dusty Baker said in this article, and apparently he already made this decision before spring training ended, or like some point during spring training. But Dusty Baker has seen in the past when a manager said, "Oh yeah, this will be my final season." We've seen like players like Manny Ramirez say, "Oh, this is my final season." Albert Pujols, "Oh, this is my final season." So it becomes a big distraction. And Dusty Baker is Dusty Baker. He doesn't want to become that distraction, be something that kind of distracts his boys, the boys he loves, from playing baseball. And so I think maybe the players knew. I think there's whispers within the organization that Dusty Baker's done. I think probably the beat reporters probably can kind of get a sense by his frustration. And he's probably like, yeah, I'm done. But he said, I thought about it before the year, but the reason I didn't want to mention it is because my conversations with Bruce Bochy, saying how distracting it was for his team in San Francisco. I didn't want to do that. It wasn't fair to my players. So Dusty Baker, like you always mention, is a player's coach. And he didn't want to be the distraction.
Yeah, that's right. No, and I mean, he put others before himself, and some people would say otherwise. They're like, well, his decisions put himself before the team at times. We know with the whole Yiner and Maldi thing, we know that there was tension between the front office and Dusty Baker. But look, he rides off into the sunset with 2,182 career victories, 57 postseason victories, fourth most in baseball history, the only manager to lead 5 different teams to the postseason. And he is the only manager who has won 2,000 games and isn't in the Hall of Fame. And which Bruce Bochy isn't either, but he's not eligible. But like we mentioned on the show earlier, within 6 months of retiring, since he's 65 or since he's over 65, he will be eligible for the Hall of Fame. So I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll be on there. Like, who would argue against what he's done? And I know people criticize him for being and whatever he is in game sevens. And he did get the one World Series ring with the Houston Astros. And a lot of people say, well, anybody could have managed that team. Remember the Lakers teams and when Pat Riley was winning those titles, or whenever all the Bulls runs with Phil Jackson. Look, everybody says that with great teams. The bottom line is we know that Dusty Baker ran a masterclass during the 2022 postseason, and that cannot be argued. That was an absolute fact, and that's what helped him steamroll the Mariners, the Yankees, and yes, the Philadelphia Phillies in Red October. And so we really saw the fruits of his labor. At times we were frustrated with his moves, but the players ultimately loved him. I mean, these players like Dubon and McCormick said he's a legend. McCormick said, I hope he comes back next year. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's just lip service. But I don't think these guys are going to say this if they didn't mean it. Yeah, did someone like Chaz want to play more? Probably so.
Right.
But that's going to be a topic we'll have to discuss, because it's going to be interesting where they value Chaz McCormick going into next season, because we know Dusty Baker wasn't convinced about his center field skills in 2023.
Thoughts by Dusty.
All right. So Dusty Baker also said, I've still got a lot to offer. Baseball has been my life. I'm gone, but I will be back. And he also said that I'm very grateful and thankful to Jim Crane and the Houston Astros for giving me this opportunity and to win a championship. I felt like they've been good for me and I've been good for them. And I really appreciate that Jim has been totally honest and transparent with me on all things. And he also said that Jim has also told him that he was the only person that could have quieted the media and everything during the whole scandal, because that's why he brought him on. And he said, I think I came along at the right time. They needed somebody to quiet the storm. We did that. So Dusty Baker did exactly what we wanted him to do, to get through the whole cheating scandal, to get to another World Series. And he got to 2 World Series and to actually win one of them. And so I think what we can say is, yes, we can criticize this. Dusty did this. Dusty, Martin Maldonado, he did all this. He should have whatever. We can argue that all off season and still have tons to talk about. But at this point, he still did a great job with the Houston Astros. And so at this point, there's no sense in kind of talking about this now. I'm sure tomorrow's show would be focused on what he actually said during press conference. What did Dana Brown say? What's next in the search for the next manager? Because you know that Jim Crane is going to go ahead and probably give some type of timeline for the search. But like we said in the earlier show, they can't wait too long. There's already the 5 managerial openings out there, including the Mets. Craig Counsell's out there looking to get a big time managerial salary with the Mets. And also you have teams that are already stealing managers from other teams just because there are better opportunities. So you could go out there and get some retreads, like somebody like AJ Hinch. I don't know if the Astros do that, but there's several names out there that we can talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, AJ Hinch, why on earth would you do that? You just quieted the storm. Now you're going to start it back up. I mean, you think the boos were loud last year? Wait till AJ Hinch returns
with all trash cans.
Guys, AJ Hinch is not coming back. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. He tried twice to stop that whole thing. He couldn't. So there's no way Jim Crane in a million years would bring back AJ Hinch. I think there's a 0.00% chance that AJ Hinch returns. Y'all may want him, but I'm sorry. So here's the deal. I like the ideas of guys like Venable, Counsell. I don't know about Weiss. I keep hearing Ron Washington. I think he's a great position coach. Maybe Ron Washington deserves another shot. I don't know. You need someone who's been around a winning ball club. More than likely, Counsell's going to go to New York because that's where Starnes went, and Starnes really like Counsell. But the thing with Counsell that bothers me is his lack of success in the playoffs. I mean, the Brewers go into the playoffs with Counsell as manager, and they look absolutely dominant, one of the top teams in the National League, and just fall apart in the playoffs. And so you don't know if that's a managerial thing. You don't know if that's a personnel thing, and they just weren't willing to put out the money. But we do need someone to come in here and be able to take these reins. I keep going back, and I'm not trying to be vanilla or just milquetoast about it, but I just think Joe Espada is that guy. He knows the culture. He knows the players. He understands the players. He coaches them every day. He spends time with them on the field, helping them. He's a hands-on manager. Dusty can't really be a hands-on manager. He's up there in years. Dusty's not going to be out there taking ground balls, and neither is Bruce Bochy. But Bruce Bochy clearly edged him in this series. Bruce Bochy putting out Jordan Montgomery in that last game was a masterful move on his part.
He went for the kill there.
He did. Dusty Baker leaving out JP France too long. Maybe they should have flipped the script a little bit. It would have been really cool to start Brian Abreu. I just really think, why not start Brian Abreu, the most controversial guy out there?
Javier, it has been
nails. Oh, I know. No, I know. And this is hindsight 2020, right? This is looking back. But what I'm saying is there needed to be a definitive, different, like chess type move for this team to win. Now, regardless, they weren't hitting anything that night. They hit a few homers. They hit like a home run here or there, but their rallies were 1-run rallies. And so it just never really translated, Eric. But hey,
You have Eric Young Sr. as well.
yeah,
You have Walt
okay,
Weiss. You have Mark Kotze as well. Padres manager Andy Green is another person you can watch. Jeff Bannister. Brad Ausmus is a guy that you're going to hear a lot because of the whole Jeff Bagwell being involved. And so it depends on how closely they're involved because they are friends. And Ausmus, from what I understand, he was one of the finalists for the GM role. And so I think that Ausmus is trying to go more the GM route. But to stay in Houston to work with the Jeff Bagwell, I think that you may see him as a manager. So Baker won 320 games with the Houston Astros, including that 60-game season with the Astros, the pandemic's shortened year. So he went to the ALCS each year. So Dusty Baker was great for us, but now it's time to look forward. We'll talk more about Dusty Baker tomorrow, but now it's time to look forward to the future of the Houston Astros.
that's right. And this episode is brought to you by
Jace Medical.
Thank you, Jace Medical. Sorry. Unrest in the Middle East, fires in Hawaii, hurricanes and tornadoes in Florida. We know all about natural disasters on the coastline. We know that sometimes the supply chain can get interrupted, and Jace Medical is here to help you with the Jace case. It's a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jace Medical now offers customizably easy to use and with dozens of add-on medications to fit you and your family's unique needs. They're continually adding and expanding their medication offerings. Right now, they have a recent addition of ivermectin as an option for the Jace case. You can also get a gift card for your family members so that they can get the Jace case of their own. So go to jacemedical.com and enter the code Locked On at checkout for your $20 discount. Eric has his. You need to order yours. That promo code is Locked On at jasemedical.com. And don't forget, if you're going to go watch any games, whether it's the World Series, I guess, or the Rockets or the Houston Texans, then you need to go to Hooters. Hooters makes you happy. Why? Because they got great wing, they got great brew, and they got specials all the time. 2 to 7, they have happy hour. 10 p.m. to close. I know at NASA and Pearland, they do karaoke after Thursday night football. So many great things. When you tell them that the Locked On Astros guys sent you, they'll get a free basket of fried pickles, whether you're in Humble, Katy, Pearland, Pasadena, Seabrook, NASA. I mean, anywhere in between, even all the way out to Galveston. Hooters is there. Why? Because Hooters makes you happy. So, Eric, on this, we've talked about the coach search. We talked about Martin Maldonado, being gone.
No, we haven't.
No. Oh, okay. So let's talk about Martin Maldonado and Michael Brantley.
Okay, so this was kind of some nuggets from a Buster Only article in the ESPN. And so we all kind of assumed that Martin Maldonado, now that Dusty Baker's gone, that he was going to be gone as well. But this is basically what was said in that article. I'm trying to find it. But basically it was said that now that these guys are gone, that Dusty Baker is on his way out. It looks like because of the contention within the front office between Dana, he didn't really say Dana Brown, but he just said within the front office between Baker and his choice to use Martin Maldonado instead of somebody with better offense, even throughout the playoffs, that the Astros probably most likely will not be bringing back Martin Maldonado. So he's likely gone. And then also he hinted that Michael Brantley has been quoted from sources with inside the organization that he's planning on retiring. And I don't doubt that because everything that he went through this year, missing most of the season and dealing with all the injuries, the shoulder issues, he can still play baseball. But at this point, he's probably like, what's the point? What am I trying to prove? So,
yeah, I think right now you look at trying to talk Michael Brantley and sticking around the organization, being on this staff as a hitting coach. I wouldn't use a roster spot on him, even at a discounted rate. I was actually talking to Ben DeBose earlier about this, and we were just discussing how it would seem to be a lot to get him ready and into baseball form where the shoulder wasn't an issue. And then on top of that, it would have to be a part-time role. And do you want to spend the capital and race the spot on a guy when you got guys coming up that may be primed to touch the major leagues this year, and someone like a Joey Loperfido, who knows, Pedro Leon may finally turn that corner. You also have Will Wagner. You have Shea Whitcomb. I mean, you have some guys that could be on their way up, and you don't want someone like a Michael Brantley, if he's not able to play, to take up that spot. Keep him on as a coach. Martin Maldonado, who knows? Maybe they bring him back as the backup. I don't know what the option is there, but I think more than likely he's out. And you've got to go for a veteran catcher that is a low cost but has a lot of experience that can help Yainer Diaz in his maturity. I think you're going to see Yainer Diaz come into this season, and this kid's going to hit 30-plus home runs on the season. He is going to throw out a lot of runners, and he is going to be one heck of a catcher. Eric, do we know, did he play too many games to be considered a rookie next year? Is his rookie campaign up this year because he played too many? Yeah.
I can look real quick, but
because he played in 85 games,
yes.
I know. Yeah, and that stinks, because if he would have played all year, Eric, you're looking at your rookie of the year catcher right there. I mean, he made first team, first all rookie team for, I believe, was it Baseball USA or someone like that, or Baseball America. But Yainer Diaz is absolutely a budding star, and I really think that you're going to see a lot of great things out of this kid.
So he had 355 at bats this year, 8 at bats last year. So yeah, he's past his rookie status.
Well, I didn't know if he played it. Yeah, I didn't remember because there is a threshold of, it's not at bats. I think it's games played. But I think if they play more than 60 games or something like that, it's considered like they lose their rookie status after that year.
It says the rookie status is still intact through 2023. So he was still rookie through this year, but it's not.
Through this year. Okay, so he is not. So hey, maybe he could be the Gold Glove catcher next year. I mean, hey, someone mentioned on here, why couldn't we get Salvi from the Royals? He would be a good backup. He's got a solid bat.
$20 million per year, something like that. You're going to have to.
You're not going to.
It's you don't really have the trade capital that you used to.
Does he? Okay. So he's still under contract then.
Yes. Okay, so you're going to have to trade somebody like, I'm just throwing a name out there. You're going to have to throw somebody like a Chas McCormick, somebody that you need to upgrade at a different position. Well, and so why upgrade there when you have the whole purpose for not having Martin Maldonado here is to play Yainer Diaz. And he had 23 home runs this year. And we're just saying that he would have done better in playoffs if he played more. He had an 846 OPS. He had a 128 OPS plus during the regular season. He had a WAR of 3.2. This guy could be just as good as Salvador Perez at half the rate. I mean, more like 1/12 of what you're going to pay him. And I know what y'all are saying is you can have him as DH and a backup catcher, but I think that they're going to go out there and get somebody else. There's other fires on the grill, so to speak, but they're just trying to find a manager, and they need to strike quick, because the managers, now that Will Venable is going to be a really hot name out there because of what the Rangers have done this year. Did you know that they went from like a 65 or 70 win team last year to where they are this year, and they're to the World Series? So they have made a drastic change, and so there's gonna be a lot of hot candidates coming from the Rangers. But if you're Venable, do you really want to take that leap off a team that could be going back to the World Series? Because what's going to be different about the Rangers next year? The Astros hopefully will be better and kick their butts next year. But something that we haven't talked about. Yeah. This is good that the Astros and Rangers are actual rivals because of the playoffs. It's not just because of stupid silver boot. It's because to get to the World Series, you may have to go through Houston or Texas. or to Arlington or to Houston, whatever you want to call it, for the next 4 or 5 years. Who knows?
So, hey, we just got up to 9,939, just added to our number. Thank y'all for subscribing. If you're listening, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you're watching as well. If you listen to us on your way to work and on your way home from work, make sure you check us out on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are almost there, less than 100 away, Eric, from 10,000 subscribers. But that's all we got tonight. We've got a lot more to talk about. We will have more after the press conference tomorrow with the Houston Astros. And I'm just going to say this, if it is the last time we've seen Michael Brantley in an Astros uniform, Uncle Mike, we love you. You're awesome. We think you're the best professional hitter to ever play the game. But seriously, Michael Brantley, look, man, we didn't get back, but you came back and gave it an honest effort. He's Eric Huysman. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. Eric, lead us out.
And in the words of Dusty Baker, we're gone, but we'll be back. See you tomorrow.
Go Astros.
Go Astros.